we're in the house here. I'm in my house here, and you're probably in your house there. But we're in the house with Ben Olson out in Schaumburg, Illinois, in his studio for our first Creativeside Chat, but studio visit. So we've now got Ben Olson's studio going. So welcome everybody. People are continuing to roll in, and if you have questions, make sure you're using the chat. You're going to be muted to begin with, but go ahead and use the mute or the chat down at the bottom or somewhere you can find it. If you can't find it, then just wave your hand in front of the screen and we can all be there together. But Ben, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. I tell you what, you know, I think there's an icon on there, but if not, just put your hands up and just clap and welcome Ben Olson out of Schaumburg, Illinois. How do you love that, buddy? I'll clap for you.
I'll take a virtual clap. Absolutely.
There it is. I'm going to do a round of applause right there. So, all right. I got Daffy over my shoulder too, so it's a very good thing. I see you're wearing Daffy as well. That's great.
I got my Daffy jersey from our 2018 Chuck Jones Big Draw. Hold on, dude. I'm not taking your socks off. Go. You can go jump in the ball pit. All right.
It's a family event. It's a total
It is a family
event.
Yeah, well, get ready because it's the studio is built like a fun house.
Yeah.
So I figured I would start off in the library in the front for people who have not seen the studio. And I've surrounded myself. I moved in here almost 6 years ago. I have a wicked awesome landlord in Jim Schumann, and who helped me do all kinds of stuff and open this whole place up. And what was big for me and what I wanted was a library type area where I could house all of my books. So I've been collecting books on creativity and art and writing and you name it for a couple of decades now. And so I have hundreds and hundreds of books. And thanks to Robert and Michael, which you'll see your books in here because I have them now displayed very nicely on the shelves. This is all kind of the inspiration that I like to take from, and then I mentor students and they can come in and check out whatever they want and use that as well. So I figured I'd start in the library, and I'm a collector. In addition to being an artist, I'm also a collector. So we're gonna go a little Kevin Graham. We're gonna go Dr. Seuss in his secret art, which is amazing. And then this is just a selection of books, Legos, other people's artworks, screaming kids in the other room. I've got Tim Rogerson, who I absolutely love and I think the guy is brilliant. So I've got James Coleman, and then that's one of my students that I mentor, Kat. She did that when she was 13.
Jeez, that's ridiculous.
That's nuts. It is ridiculous. So in the library is where I also do the teaching. So on our Chuck Jones in your homes, this is kind of the setup. So there's another couple of lights, and I'll sit at that desk, and that's where we teach creativity. Right now we're in a create your own cartoon. So what I do want to highlight is I've got some original Chuck Jones pieces. I have an Eric Goldberg piece that I can't show. I have I just realized
You're right.
that.
You cannot.
Like,
sorry.
Can't show that one. So some more Chuck Jones art. I've got Daniel Arriaga, who's a Pixar artist. The title card from, I believe, Fast and Furious.
No, from Chariots of Fur. That's
Which one? Chariots of Fur. I'm sorry.
That was Chuck's last Roadrunner Coyote cartoon right there.
Last Roadrunner. Yeah. So that original. Yeah, I've got a bunch of Chuck stuff.
1992, 1993. Yeah.
I've got Charles Pabst. So when I was studying and learning how to do this, I did a Batman when I was 16 in high school, and that helped me get into art school. So that was off a cover from another comic magazine. And so this is the fun house to give you an idea of the expanse of the.
That is a fun house. And look at that. I mean,
it comes included with a ball pit. Everybody needs a ball pit, right?
Everybody needs a ball pit.
in this area, to give you an idea, while I do a wide shot, so I've got a collaboration table. I've got a pin board for all kinds of when we do like ideation and stuff like that. This, when it's not a ball pit, is a kind of a screening thing where we can stream Apple devices to the big screen. So that's 134 inches, and we can do all of our creativity sessions and stuff there.
So Ben, I'm going to interrupt we're going to interrupt this just for a second. You know,
Yes.
most of the people here know you as the founder of the Chuck Jones Center for Creativity out in the Chicagoland area. They know you as an artist. They know you as a just wonderful guy. But I don't think most people know exactly what you do. Let's call it a day, night, every other time job as a creative director. Tell us about 3MA a little bit. The other side of your life, because that's part of your studio. I mean, I know.
Yes. So the big part, that's actually what pays all the bills. And good night, my face is huge in that. So to give you an idea of 3MA, right, and as I just kind of span the studio a little bit to give you an extra shot, 3MA is a creative agency that does design work, branding, film, web, and that's what pays the bills for all of this stuff. So
Awesome.
we did the state of Illinois bicentennial logo a couple of years back. As kind of like a signature thing, and we do a lot.
That's a pretty big deal, man. You always kind of gloss over that, but you beat out every other creative agency and marketing agency in Chicago. So I'm sorry, with that look and your necklace with the governor, that was one of the best shots ever, and a Chuck Jones T-shirt, no less.
I had my Chuck Jones. I was representing my Chuck Jones T-shirt with Governor Rauner for the unveiling of the logo.
That was pretty amazing.
So that's what kind of like, to give you, we host parties. We've got a full kitchen. We've got our workstations and all that kind of jazz. Up top, if you see that is a bunk bed next to the Jackson Pollock area. So there is a bunk bed up there, which my kids like, we've got a vintage pinball machine, care of Mike Alagna. And then you can't go anywhere without dual basketball hoops. That would be this is my Captain Steve Rogers Captain America suit. I do wear this. It is legit.
And you wear it well, I must say.
Well, thank you. I wear the girls, so it sucks it in. But this painting was done by RC so we had Red Dot Chicago, and this painting was done by RC, who is a ridiculously talented artist. And we're going to be donating that to a local community center here. And then this was part of the artwork for that. Welcome to the Acme Creation Lab. So there's part of, to give you an idea of the span of the other side of the studio of what's all up on here.
Bugs and Chuck. I tell you what, I forgot you guys had that out there. That was a guy that I met at the Balloon Fiesta, 18 months ago at the Balloon Fiesta in Albuquerque. And he got so fired up. He had done a coyote, and I didn't know who it was. And I walked up. It's a competition, and there's 10 guys, carving with chainsaws and tools and whatnot. And he said, I was the only guy. Sam and I were there. Only guy. He went away that day because he was feeling a little under the weather, and he comes over and he goes, and I said, look, you're doing great stuff over there, but do you know who did the coyote? And he goes, yeah, I did. And it was just one of those things. And then he got inspired by Chuck and the creativity and Bugs Bunny. And so that he brought out for you guys for the
with a chainsaw
museum show. With a chainsaw.
With a chainsaw.
Yeah.
That dude's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So to give you an idea of what we do on the Chuck Jones Center for Creativity Chicagoland style things, we're in the midst of handing out over 2,000 bags so far. And this will switch to the camera view. So right now we've reconfigured the studio because we don't have anybody in here. And Andigo Credit Union has sponsored us for a bunch of this stuff, which we are totally grateful for. So this is some of the materials that we're using to pack creativity kits that are going out to, we have By the Hand Club, which is in one of the worst parts of Chicago. It has 1,500 kits. We just did 500 by last Friday. We have another 500 going next week, and then another 500 after that. District 211, Betsy, who's on the call today. I'm wearing
Betsy.
Jewelry, Betsy, right? Betsy has been delivering kits to senior communities, which has been fantastic. So we'll have more going out. So she's helping us in that realm. Dude, stop turning on and off the lights. And so to give you an idea of like just the space, here's how it throws down. This is the other side of the studio, which has all kinds of goodies, including some fantastic Chuck Jones artwork. So this is kind of
you got some good stuff over there. I forgot. I know where all the good stuff went.
I have two originals from Daniel Killen. How ridiculous is that?
Nice.
It's hanging on the walls.
Hey, how
So
long did it take RC to do that painting, that monster?
8 hours.
That's ridiculous.
That's insanely ridiculous.
Yeah.
If you find RC, follow him on Instagram. You should look at the stuff this guy's doing. It is ridiculous as I pop this down. So yeah, it's kind of nutty. The guy's super talented and couldn't be a nicer guy. So he came out for Red Dot. Him and his dad spray painted the crap out of that thing, and I watched him do it and was just in awe of what he came out with. So
that is very cool. But now you're in your painting studio, so I mean, I know it all opens up, and I've been a fan of your painting since the first time I came out there years ago. And just to give you a little bit of history, Ben and I not only worked together with the Center for Creativity as an artist with Linda Jones Enterprises and Chuck Jones Gallery, but we met at an art show 10 years ago. No, now it's 11 years ago, I believe.
11 years ago.
Yeah, and the only way he really liked me was because I had Oscar with me. And so, you know, he wouldn't give me the time of day, except that I brought Oscar with me, where obviously all the Oscars come out of Chicago. So we went back home with Chuck's Lifetime Achievement Award. And we met at an art show out there, and it was like kindred spirits from that moment. And it has just continued to evolve, and so we have stayed close. The Center for Creativity is blowing up because of Ben, and your art has always been I've been a huge fan of that. It's been one of the most, actually, I don't like you very much. I just like your art a lot. So how's that?
That's okay. That works.
All right. So talk about your art. I mean, you're classically trained, you love to paint. It's a lot of the same things that I heard from Chuck, that it's just like, you do what you love and then you keep doing it every day, as much as you can.
So when I was 5, I remember, I've had some experiences through life, right? Which I always knew I wanted to draw. And I remember being in kindergarten, and I put a thing on my Facebook thing that says, I'll tell you about Mrs. Blackburn. So let me tell you about my kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Blackburn, because it kind of starts in around there, right? My dad might remember her, and my mom. But I remember I did this, they had coloring book pages, right? And there was a girl I liked. Her name was Monica. You know how you have snapshots of your past? You know, you're like, but you can't really remember like all the context. And I'm probably getting part of this wrong. I don't know. It's just what I remember. Yeah. So there's a girl, Monica, and I really liked Monica. And so we were doing these coloring pages, right? And that was the art project for the day. And then you would doing crayons, and then you would get to put it up on the wall. So I had my Disney coloring book page, and I was coloring away. And then what I did was I took the crayons and I did like layers, right? So I'd color it normal, and then I would do like red over and then blue over and all that kind of stuff. And then I took scissors and I scratched lines out, right? To make like a thing.
And how old is this?
I was 5.
Yeah.
Now,
that sounds normal. Someone gave you scissors at 5. That's great. Yeah.
I know. The fact that they give me scissors now when I'm 40 is ridiculous. But yeah, I think they hid them all for me. But so I remember doing this and finishing it. And I don't know if I was coloring inside, outside the lines or whatever. I just did this thing. And I remember specifically because my my coloring page got put up underneath everybody else's, right? Like other people's. It was literally covered over. And my teacher said, well, you did it wrong.
Oh, don't tell Ben.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, as my parents will attest, I'm not the easiest person when that comes to that. So like I'm going to kind of follow rules. So I did it wrong. I was supposed to color it normally, right? Not do whatever it is that I did. So that got put up under somebody else's stuff. And fast forward, I'm in elementary school, and we were living in Texas. We moved up to Illinois, and still loved to draw, that kind of stuff, and started getting into like comics and whatnot when I was in junior high. So I'd draw some of those things. And I was in 6th grade, right? Now I don't remember my teacher's name in 6th grade.
Now wait, tell me Monica's still in this picture.
No, I have.
Oh, darn it. I wanted more on Monica. Anyway, go ahead.
Wouldn't it be awesome? And I'm like, and 30 years later.
And Monica.
Right.
She
So
was on
that was,
Friends. Yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, that was kind of just like a passing thing. You know how kindergarten romance goes.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, she was probably on to the next best thing. And so anyway, I'm into like 6th grade, right? And in order to get into 7th grade art, you had to be recommended by your 6th grade art teacher because it was not open for everybody. And man, I was going to town on all the art projects. I remember the last one we did was like you had to do a tree, and you had to do it out of like silver pencil and stuff like that. And so I did. I was doing all the art projects, and I had told my teacher, I really want to be in 7th grade art, right? Please put me in the 7th grade art class. Well, there was another girl, right? And she, but no,
always a girl.
there's always a girl, but this
Okay,
one,
go
like
ahead.
she was kind of like a teacher's pet, friendly, whatever. I don't know if she was that much into art. She was just kind of there. And maybe in art class, let's be honest, for some people, art class is just like an easy thing they can just check off. And I'm like, this is not a check off thing for me. I really love this. And so she told me that my stuff wasn't good enough to get into 7th grade art.
Oh, once again.
So I wasn't good enough, and my stuff wasn't there. So she put this other girl in who basically took it for fun.
Didn't care,
but she got into the placement, you know, and I got sidelined on that. And that sucked, right? So, you know, I don't have 7th grade art. I'm still doing comics and whatever. And I remember like a little bit before that, at the age of 10, and this is part of what spurred that whole thing of why telling my 6th grade art teacher I really want to do this, is because when I was 10 years old, my mom took my brother and I with one of her friends to Little Mermaid, right? And I saw an animated feature for the first time in a theater, and I was blown away. I'm like, how do you do that? Like, that's what I want to do. Let me do that, right? Which to this day, my all-time like animation artist legends and I've gotten to meet one. I've been Glenn Keane, Andreas Deja, and Eric Goldberg, right?
Wow.
So yeah, and so I remember going to see that film and just being very impacted by it because I was looking at art moving in like a big setting format, and it was amazing. And I wanted to do that. That's what I want to do. I draw. I do these little things, and so 7th grade was a wash art-wise, right? And I get into 8th grade art. And now what I've learned recently is, because I tried looking her up, I believe my 8th grade art teacher has passed away, which is sad because forget my kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Blackburn, right? Forget whatever her name is, 6th grade art teacher. My 8th grade art teacher looked at what I was doing, and I was the same thing with her. I'm like, I love doing this and whatnot. And she let me use whatever I wanted. Like, I would always have the projects done in class, and then I could go and use whatever supplies I wanted to use to make whatever it is I wanted to make, which was awesome. I loved her.
Yeah.
And you know what she did? She submitted 2 of my pieces without telling me. She submitted 2 of my pieces for awards, and I got first place on both.
Wow, nice.
And she didn't tell me until she got me the award, and she's like, by the way, I entered your stuff, and here you go. Right? And so my 8th grade art teacher, like, not that I would have not done this and not still wanted to be creative and do all these kind of things, but it just goes to show you, and there's a Chuck tie into this, why it's so important, right, to like foster that, because you never know what it's going to turn into, right? But the whole like a no can kill a yes, you know, with the no drop on thing, right?
Yeah.
So I got into 8th grade art, and I had a blast with it, and that propelled me into my high school years, which was Mr. Rhodey. So like that Batman piece that I did, like that was the dude let me use whatever I wanted.
Wait, that Batman piece was yours that we saw?
Yeah, I did it when I was 16.
I thought you were just referencing that you did a Batman. I forgot that was your Batman. That's amazing.
Yeah. So that, and I'm like, I know, like, I want to do this. Like, I want to be an animator for Disney. I've known this now for a while. So he let me use anything, and he taught me stuff in oil painting. He taught me stuff in acrylics. He let me, for the first time in like 1995, I'm using this thing called Adobe Photoshop. What the heck is that? Right? And I have this mouse that I'm clicking, and then he's like, you should try this tablet. And I'm drawing on the screen, and they're letting me do digital art all the way fast to where like Toy Story's coming out. And in 1997, my senior year, I had mostly independent study art classes, 1 English, and I think like a gym and an early dismissal. and they let me have computer and art all to myself. And I got to learn Ray Dream Studio, right? For those of who might remember a Ray Dream Studio. And I animated this little beaver creature that I made to a music track of the Bee Gees, right? And that was the thing. So I had to learn lighting, how to move this thing and animate. And then like, all right, when you're done, you then have to write all this stuff down so that we know how to like go forward with somebody else in the class. Desktop publishing, blah, blah, blah. So I got to do all kinds of things. And then you get to Chuck, right? When I'm in high school, the high school libraries have way more than the junior high libraries, right? And I have this book, right? And I'm looking through, and my parents would let us watch Looney Tunes as the good parents that they are. And right, and I grew up on like 3 hours on like whatever channel that was every Saturday. So I was in my library and I found this book, and it was Chuck Amuck. And I'm like, that's kind of odd. And I looked at it, and Bugs Bunny's on the cover, and I'm like, all right, well, maybe I should look at that. That's cool. And I realized that the guy who like has been a part of my childhood for the last however many years, this is the guy who did the films, right? So this drawing on page 146 of Drip Along Daffy, right?
Yep.
For whatever reason, that's the one. As I'm flipping through this book for the first time, and I draw Drip Along first. I've looked. I think I've got it at home, but that's the first sketch I did out of this book was Drip Along Daffy, and it was off page 146, right?
Wow.
So I'm going through and I'm looking at all this stuff, and I'm just amazed, and I'm like, oh, look at all that goes into it, because I want to do this. So, and then of course, you know, you have The Illusion of Life from Ollie Johnston and Frank Thomas, and I get exposed to all that kind of stuff, and it just propels to where, so like I showed you some Tim Rogers and stuff. That dude got into Ringling School of Art and Design, and by the way, he is a stupidly talented artist. Yeah. I got into Ringling School of Art and Design also, and I remember like I applied to like RISD and that one and some others, and I got into this school. This was the one I wanted, right? I wanted Sarasota, Florida. I wanted that Spanish tile, like open art studio, dream come true with a white sand beach and blah, 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 right? And I was stoked because I got in. And I was, and which to me validated that I was good enough, right? I was good enough to get into a juried art school, and like not just an art school, but like Ringling School of Art and Design.
Top. Yeah.
And so I was stoked, man. And then, however, you can be stoked, and then you can have a $40,000 a year tuition bill that you're like, I'm not that stoked. So I couldn't afford really to go, but I did get in, and I ended up going to College of DuPage here, and I had some really great art professors. Like which proved to me that it doesn't necessarily matter where you go, right? It's all about the quality of the instruction that you get. And man, they poured it out on me to the point where I was supposed to graduate, but I didn't, because I kept taking art classes, and my parents did this whole graduation party thing because my brother graduated high school, and they're like, oh, guess what? After 4 years, you graduated a 2-year school. No, not really. So that is kind of like, whoops, you know.
That's pretty funny.
Still haven't graduated a 2-year school, but
hey,
so
Ben, what is in the background there? I keep I think the Flintstones thing going on. It flashed up on the screen. Oh, is that the other camera? It keeps moving on my screen. Okay, I just have to interrupt and go, what the heck is that keeps popping in?
That's my Dino for today.
Okay, all right. I didn't want to, break your thought, but I was like,
no, you
wait
can
a minute.
Break my thought.
Okay, okay, maybe it's time to show, because I can only see a tiny little thing over here.
Scott, can you spotlight?
Okay, there it is.
I've got a pop art style. Like, let's bring it all the way forward, right? What I wanted to get into, where life takes you, because the good Lord says, that's not your path, this is your path. And then I'm 40 years old, turning 41, and I get to play with Looney Tunes on a daily basis and do this. And I'm in a gallery, not just a gallery, I'm in Chuck Jones galleries, right? So it just goes to show you never know where you're going to end up. And man, I couldn't be more thrilled. So this is my Dino work in progress.
That's so cool.
I love when I found out you guys had the Flintstones, this is the first thing I wanted to do. I want to do another one after this that involves Dino and Bam Bam and Pebbles. But so what I do in my pop art style, this is all acrylic. And what I do in this style, like I've got, you know, the Wallasso and Devasso and Bagasso, and I've got, I think Marvasso was the first one. But this pop art style, I love the juicy, rich colors. I love happy, joyful colors in this, right? So how I do this is it's a base. So I've sketched everything out. I've striped everything out and painted my base layer. And then what you can kind of see here in these stripes is I will then go through and do a gradient that goes from like a darker color to a lighter color. And then I'll pick my stripes. So that's how this starts. And then from here, I keep building on it. So what I'll show you today is kind of like the magic behind it, because when I first figured out how to do this years and years ago, I thought I was cheating because I was using tape. And until I was talking to like Mike Kungle, who's way awesome, and he was like, dude, it's fine to use tape. And I'm like, well, if you said it's fine to use tape, then it's fine to use tape. And so I'd sketch it all out, I do all this, and then I'll tape off here, and then I'll do the brush work in between, and that's where I can, and then I'll remove the tape. So like when I'm like at the end of my, you know, at the end of, that's just from doing this here. And then I just kind of tape it to the side. So this is what Dino is. And then I'm going to do a little work on this today to kind of show you how that works. And then also, finally, because I think I submitted this sketch like 4 years ago.
Ooh. Oh, yes.
So I've got a fine art style more in this is oil. So that's acrylic. This is oil. And in the oil painting, I like to do this kind of effect, because what I love about oils is that I can continue to work them over and over again, and the blending of things. I love the blending of things. So this is my Robin Hood Daffy piece. And what I love about Robin Hood Daffy is specifically what Chuck brought to Daffy was that personality of it wasn't just wacky. Right. And I love his quote of like, you know, we all want to be bugs, but really we're Daffy, you know, and that's true. Right. So this dude who's trying everything he can. And what I love about it is Porky is just, you can't not laugh at what's going on. If I was Porky, I would be laughing at Daffy nonstop. So Daffy's got a pose, and you can kind of see the sketch
Ben,
out.
Can you bring it a little closer to the camera? It's really, for me, I can't see it. I'm blind anyway. Little higher on Porky, So you can, there you go. Oh, there. Oh, I can see.
Can you see
so
the
you got
sketch in
pose.
here?
Yeah. Just
and then I've got my Porky here. Now here's what freaks me out about this. All right, I painted my background, and I do all my background work first. And what I used to do is I would paint around the character so that I knew where my sketch was.
Yep.
Well, after watching guys like Rob Kaz and some other, you know, that they would just do the whole background and roll with it and then paint on top, I'm like, okay, well, maybe I should just try that. Right. And so let's layer this thing, and it freaks me out. So what I had to do is I have to sit there and I have to continually sketch these guys to get my poses right. So here's my Daffy, right?
Oh,
and
nice Daffy.
You know, my Chuck's quote of like, you got 100,000 bad drawings. There were about 40 of these bad drawings before I got to this one.
Nice.
Right. And then I needed my pose for Porky. So there was my pose for Porky. Right. And so for whoever ends up getting this painting, I'm including the original sketches with that if they want. Same thing with Dino.
Yeah. I love the Porky laugh is so classic. And I don't know if you know this, but Robin Hood Daffy is my mom's favorite film. So she's willing to admit it. So Chuck never would admit favorites, but my mom definitely does. So
well, and what I loved about, like, it's a Maurice Noble background, and what I love about Maurice Noble backgrounds is the way he approached design. So it's just my take on what he did. So if I like kind of zoom out a little bit more, and hopefully my thing won't fall here. If I zoom out a little bit more.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Am I good? All right. So I'm just tighten this down. So anyway,
we're gonna work on. Where are you gonna be working on this? Are you gonna work on this one or the Dino, or what are you gonna be showing us?
I'm gonna go Dino, and then I might switch back to this. So
I gotta tell you, I love this. That tree is just amazing. The background, that's a great style.
Thanks,
there was a Roadrunner or a Coyote that you did early on, and I can't. And it's just on my memory, but don't remember. But the same style, that painterly style, and I think that was one of the ones where I went, dude, you can paint. So you can really
Yeah.
paint. It's awesome.
Be like, hey,
Yeah.
So I love, so here's the original sketch for Dino, right? So that's the original sketch there. So if somebody gets this, I will slice this out of my Moleskine sketchbook, which I don't really ever do.
So I tell you what, Ben, before you start, actually, you can start getting prepped there, but I'm wondering if anybody's got a question in the chat. If you got questions in the chat, I got Max who said that he would like to have Duck Tweesy as his background. Maybe we can find a Duck Tweesy somewhere. By the way, we do have backgrounds for Zoom listed on the website, so that like this guy here, I went to the wrong side, but you know, where you can download it and do your stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. So here's the magic, but here's the wacky magic, right? It's literally masking tape, and I've got to, once my design is down, I've got to. I found out that specifically on canvas, because it's, you know, you got the bumps and stuff. If I didn't do a layer of paint first and I try to like really seal this down, sometimes paint would get up underneath. And when I'm blending back and forth and I remove all that paint to try to go back in and touch up that color to make it a smooth, clean line is a pain in the butt. So I realize that if I get my base color down first and I have something to better seal it with, that I don't really necessarily have as much of that problem. So this is the biggest one I've done so far is, I think, Devasso, which was 36 by 36, and somebody bought that one already.
Wow.
And the funny part is there was glow in the dark paint. What?
Oh, is that right? I tell you what, I don't, I've seen my mother get aggressive with different works of art and production and whatnot, and it just makes me cringe. But I guess as an artist, you're like, hey, I got to do what I got to do.
You got to do what you got to do, man.
You got to do. Yeah.
So the funny thing too is if I can pick the right width of tape, I don't have to worry about it. It'll actually fill that line perfectly. So I'll do this, and then once I'm done with this thing, I'll get in and I'll paint that stuff, and then I'll strip it back, and then you can see, because it comes across like with this effect. And then the last piece to it, and I don't know if you have, like, I'm sure I know I think we've got some images and stuff of other pieces that are in this style, but the finishing touch to this, once I'm done with all the gradient, is black lining, and it seriously is like inking something, because I've got to wet down my black paint and get it to like enough of a consistency to where I can take a flat brush and I can almost like a calligraphy pen swoop up with one line so that it's super clean, which can be a nightmare sometimes because it doesn't always go the way you want it to. But that's the end result to all this will be black lining. And what I love about this style when I started pulling this off was line weight and variation of line weight, and just different ways to do things. So, all right. So there's that, right? And because my memory is...
Hey, Scott Ryder, I know you're producing this thing. Can you, there are a few other paintings I know that we've got here while you're kind of prepping that. So can you see the spotlight here, Ben? The coyote?
Yeah. Oh, so yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
we're going through, tell me about some of these things.
So I think that one's still available. What I love about Chuck in his inking just blew me away, right? I love his inking. So what I wanted to accomplish in stuff like this was a little sense of that Chuck inking style. So this is the same kind of pop art, you know, that I'm doing here. I do the same effect. If you'll notice, all my backgrounds are teal because that's my color. So that's kind of like my signature color on all this. But all the striping and stuff that's done, that black line work is all just like, I've got to get the black paint the right consistency and then go ahead and like do the line work and stuff on it. And for the most part, I was doing a little bit with tape on straight lines. I don't even do that anymore. It's straight up, just freehand to get my stuff down right. And so that's what this one is. So this one, I think it's like a 12 by 12 or something. 14 by 14. Yeah. I love that. I actually love that. I missed that.
Scott, Scott Ryder, do you have a couple other? Oh, there. See, I knew that all I do is ask Scott Ryder, and you can just roll through. I love this Yosemite.
So there's this Yosemite
one, right? Yeah.
Yep. And then these were all the series of this was called Portraits of a Villain, and then Marvin was in this, but Marvin already sold. Is there another one after this too? I think.
Oh, there's the Marvin.
So this is Steampunk Marvin, which you guys did a print of, a limited
Love that.
edition print.
Yeah.
I love this one. This was for
I
Red
love
Dot.
this. Yep.
So, all right, now
Oh.
what you can't see in this because it cut it off is I call this the stash, and it's it curls at the ends. This is a something by 36. I want to say like an 18 by 36. Yeah, I love this piece. So if you see like there's a stripe like up at the top that mimics his mustache, and this was one of those pieces that was big, and I don't know, I missed that piece when I finished
that is
it.
Beautiful. Oh
yeah,
my
so
gosh.
there's more on the sides, and then this is Bagasso. So if
Bagasso, of course.
Bagasso. Now, Wallasso, Devasso, and Marvasso are all sold. So this is the last one in the series so far. I want to try a couple others, but what I wanted was a Picasso style to my pop art, and what came across, which is, you know, eyeballs where they shouldn't be and all this other kind of stuff. And this is taken off Bully for Bugs, which is one of my favorite Bugs Bunny cartoons. So I did good. Bagasso off of what's it called? Bully for Bugs. Which one's the next one?
Oh. You know what somebody just recommended? And this is a great idea. We do Jones Family Gathering in your world one of these years. Yeah, we got to do Jones. I
would totally do that.
Okay. That's awesome.
I do Jones Family Gathering anyway.
I know, exactly. So we'll come to you this time. That's fantastic. So
this is oil, right? And what I love, I can't stress enough of what I love about Maurice Noble and the way he approached design. And I love the pinks and the hues and stuff, you know. So this is my ode to the #1 rated cartoon of all time, What's Opera Doc. And I wanted Bugs to be looking right at you. I wanted the attitude of the rabbit looking at you like, I got this stuff, right? Like, look at what I'm pulling off. And then if you notice all the way up the stairs, just in the silhouette, because I did not want Elmer Fudd to be really super prominent in it, but I wanted that in, you know, that hint of him is he's all the way at the top, just in the shadow, right? But it's and there's more to this piece, actually. This cut off a little bit, but like the clouds and stuff, I wanted to do these really like rich, thick, I wouldn't even call it fluffy. I'd call it like whipped cream. I don't know. I could eat the cloud. I want to eat the cloud.
That is just amazing. I don't think I've seen this one. I don't see how they get it into the system out here with me not seeing these things. I guess they were hiding it from me. But the clouds, that's the total west wind blow and the east wind blow. So I don't know
if you can see the full screen on this one, because on mine it cuts off a little bit. But so this is a boy and his dog, essentially, right? And the title of this one, I forget what the title is exactly, but this is all about Marvin winning. So he's on Planet X. I wanted this serene picnic setting, so that teal water, which is my color, but I wanted that teal Martian kind of style water where you're almost at like a miniature resort. I wanted the Mars effect of the pink skies to fade off into the background, right? And if you notice, like, they're taking a nap. He's already won. On the picnic blanket it's actually Duck Dodger's flag, right?
Picnic on Planet X is the title.
Picnic on Planet X. That's the one. So he's using Duck Dodger's flag as his picnic blanket, and it's roast duck and a pulled pork sandwich. That's what's for lunch. Because he won.
But it didn't disintegrate, which is good.
No, he didn't use that gun. He used like the rotisserie gun or something like that. I don't know. There was some different Acme contraption. So that's
pretty dark, man. That's pretty dark. I love it, but it's pretty dark.
I'm like, you gotta wait till you like. I still haven't sent it yet because I have to resketch it out. But I have one with Wiley and Roadrunner, and that's later for another time.
Okay.
I don't know if there's another one up there.
Scott, anything more, Scott? One? I think it must be.
I think that's the last one.
That is awesome.
I like the two different styles. I like going back between the two different styles because I like having I like different things about different mediums. I have one more that I did in watercolor, and it's 65, and it was for Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner's 65th anniversary. And so I like to do watercolor, but that was the only watercolor that I did for that. So they're just, each medium has its own things that I like about it, and I want to accentuate that in the artwork.
Really nice. Really nice.
So,
all right. Well, we can go back to Dino and see what's
yeah, let's
going
go
on
back to,
there. So let's
all
go
right.
back and
So to kind of give you an idea of what happens when I do this. So what I like to do is I like to start with the lightest color first, because depending, like, especially on the yellows, they can get a bit translucent, and it's kind of a pain to try to go back and get it lighter. So I will use the lightest color first, and then I just I'll fade it down. I don't really wet it down too much, and then I'll color code it. So
so while you're doing that, just everybody, if you're on and you take a look at the chat, there's a link to be able to see Ben's entire collection that is on there. So if you want to click on that bit.ly link, it'll allow you to head over there and do it at the same time. So you can be zooming and perusing at the same time.
Zooming and perusing.
That's it. We'll call it Zerusing, maybe.
Ooh, I like that. Zerusing.
Yeah, we'll just be Zerusing. There's something that just isn't quite right about that, but I'm liking the intonation of it. I don't know. So what would you pre-mix your colors, and then, I mean, you got a little thing there. Is that a certain Pantone color? Is it a certain what? Yeah.
So if I don't know what the color, here's, and this is just because my memory is kind of sucks sometimes. Like when I'm picking colors on this, I have, so Dino, the purples, and real quick, because sometimes you see Dino as like this fuchsia and sometimes you see him as purple. So we're going to blend both worlds. Sometimes I can get the paint right out of the tube. So if I'm looking for colors, where did I just put that? This one. So I will do like quinacridone violet. I may not even be saying that right? And I can get this. I love golden, by the way. I've switched over to golden because it's just a better paint. And so I'll use this, and I can get this color right out of the tube. So that's my dark color, but I cannot get what I want in here, which is kind of like a medium magenta, but I need there we go. I need it a little bit different. So there's 4 different colors mixed in here to get what I need out of this.
Yeah.
And
how long
then
will
what I have to
will
do
that
is,
last you for the whole painting?
Yeah, this
right.
bit right here is like is a not even a 2-ounce tube. I think it's, well, maybe 2 ounces. Yeah, that'll last me plenty for the whole painting.
Okay.
Depends on how big. But what I'll do is I have to like label my stuff. So I have A1, B2, and then I'll have B1, and then I've got all the other kind of things, because I would literally get into my colors and I'll totally forget what I did. Like the yellows specifically, and I'll be like, oh crap, which colors were that? And then I got to go figure it all out again. And that's just because I'm absent-minded half the time.
You know,
so,
Scott, do you have that original, or can you share that original, that Roadrunner Coyote that I was talking about? It's I think it's the first original that he did. And I think it's on the site. It's kind of a pan one. If you have that, or
I don't have it, but I can try to locate it.
I think it may be on that link somewhere. If it's not, maybe one of the other team members can send it to Scott Ryder, and he can put it up here, because I just somebody privately asked me, it's like, what was the one that you talked about? And I'm like, I don't remember it, but it was one of the first ones. Am I right?
Yeah, that was the second piece that I did, and it was the first. It's the only one that I've done in watercolor so far.
Okay, that was a watercolor, no less. Okay.
Yeah. So it was a little bit more difficult than I thought it was, and you'll see when, like, and if they can find it, the amount of gags Wiley has on him, like, you got to count all the gags. So because it was the 65th anniversary, I wanted him on the road. I wanted that classic setting, but I wanted a different feel to it. So I pulled it off in watercolor, because and you'll see in the blending and stuff. And what I love about watercolor is also, what's kind of slightly frustrating about watercolor is it will do its own thing. And I think Kenneth is on here today. Kenneth is a ridiculous watercolorist. And we would go into I haven't been there in a couple of years, but we would go into take this watercolor class in the mountains in the Virginia City, Nevada, and it's a plein air class. And so what's frustrating about watercolor is also what's great about it, because it's almost like a chemical reaction. So things that you don't even like, it'll just happen, and you'll be like, oh, don't touch it. you know, and
there. Wait, we're now. Yes, that's a
yeah.
watercolor.
Yeah,
That
that's
is
watercolor.
just well, it's probably gone already, but I want an edition of that just so I can have an artist proof, because I want to put that in
whole thing?
I can see from the back of behind all the gadgets and gizmos to all the way to because the speed, the 65-mile-an-hour speed limit, but it goes all the way back. He's dragging a bunch of gags behind him. He's got the rocket on him. Yeah, on mine I can see the full pan.
Okay,
that
good,
is
because I can only
nutty.
see mine cut off. So in that, I've got a ton of gags in there, and then what I did was I only inked the characters slightly. That was it. So I did a little bit of inking and watercolor. Then the background is straight up just watercolor. There is no inking and stuff in that. But I wanted that 65 move. You know, like it was for the 65th anniversary. So this was the pose of I'm going to get you, and I'm bringing the entire arsenal after it.
Wait a minute. I you know what? If I could make that a limited edition, I would probably get that. Wait, I can. I forgot. I can do that. So yeah,
that would be awesome.
I think we need to do that now. So because I want one of the artist proofs myself. Would you sign it for me? Would you sign it for me? Would you do that for me? I totally, because I want to put that in my house. Literally, I want to put that in the guest room. I've got a spot in my mind, because now it's my office. It's not where I am right now, but it is in my. The guest room is my office, and I may never go back to work. I kind of like this whole thing of working from my studio and just have this thing. I've got a better view from this office than I ever had in any office I've ever had. So I'm kind of liking this whole thing. I come to visit you a couple times a year just so I can, go hang out in your little creative zone there. So I tell you what, that is awesome. What are you doing on your, there's, there it is. Yeah, can you buy what?
Can I buy an artist proof of mine too?
Yeah. Well, that's,
I kind of like that one.
Yeah, I know. Think about that. We just got to, find it and find the image of it and get that going, because that'd be good on paper. I like things. Chuck always said that the watercolors, and he loved doing oils, and he got into pastels later on, but he played around. There's some fine art and some whimsical things from the 40s and whatnot that we've done editions of Chuck's in. But as he got into his 80s, and I don't mean 1980s, but his 80s in the 90s, and he started playing around with watercolors again. And he said it was one of the most satisfying, but as you said, one of the most frustrating things that he's ever done, because he said, once you do something, it's there for good. In oils and other pencils, you can erase, oils and acrylics, you can paint over, you can layer. But once the watercolor's there, it's there.
It's done.
And
you got to go light to dark, and that's it. Yeah. You don't go dark to light.
I am amazed. For some reason, when I glanced on that image originally, I thought it was an oil. Because it is so precise, and that must have been a little difficult to breathe while you're doing some of those things, because you make an issue and you're done. And
and you can't control it. Like I said, it's a chemical reaction. So you're blending and mixing colors, and you're just kind of letting things work on the paper. And as my buddy Kenneth knows, you just got to let it go. And that painting, that number 65, was a passion project for me, because it was something that I wanted to get into, and I love Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote. I love everything behind it. So to do that for their anniversary thing, that was a passion project. So I don't know if you can see this as well in the light, but there's a gradient in that light to dark. Yeah. Right. And that effect will go through this whole piece. So all of these stripes will have that dark to light gradient to it. The only thing that will be a solid is the teal. So the teal sky will just be a solid teal. And then I'll go in and I'll do the purple. I have to let this dry for a day, because the thing with acrylics, because it's kind of plasticky, is if I go down and I need to put tape over to get that line solid. If I go and remove that and it hasn't dried long enough, I'll actually peel that up, and then I have to redo it again. So I'll let this sit overnight, right? And then I can come back tomorrow, and then I can pop these in. So usually what I do is I plan out all my stripes. I'll do all of these first, all the magentas, and then the same day I can do the yellows, and then I can pop his nose. and I can get 40% of the painting, right? Where I can lock that in once I get into this mode, and then I have to let it sit, and then I can come back and I can do like another 40%, and then I have to let that sit, and then I can do the last 20 in color. Then I go back and I do all the line work. So the line work itself is semi-stressful because if I make a mistake, I'm kind of screwed. And I have to go back, especially if I'm doing black on this lighter green. To build up that green to cover up my mistake is a pain. So you really do have to get it like right the first time.
Well,
this is what happens.
The user just was saying that Dino is the cutest dinosaur ever, which
I would have to say. Who wouldn't want a pet Dino?
Who doesn't want? Yes, you know, that sound that was actually Mel Blanc, I believe, that did Dino's voice. And so, because I remember when they actually used the actual recording in the remake, in the CGI remake, and I guess they didn't get permission from Noel Blanc to use that. So, is that my dad? Yeah. Okay, let's talk. So but also Max said that they're gonna go in and they want to get that Marvin that you were showcasing.
Which
that
Marvin?
Print. The Marvin, the print, the print
steampunk.
The steampunk. I got to tell you, when I saw that, and we had people battling over that. It red dotted that year. There it is. Yeah. Because it red dotted pretty quickly, and I had somebody come up to me later and like, oh, you know what? I'm sorry, I didn't know that I could just buy it. And I'm like, okay, well, we're going to make a print of it, and he'll embellish it. That was the artist proof one that we did, where you embellish the heck out of it. So,
well, I remember we were in San Diego when a woman bought it, and Mike asked me if I would come. Like it was a JFG thing.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And it's like, hey, do you mind? I'm like, I don't mind. I'm like, somebody wants to buy something, I'll go sign it and whatever. So I have this steampunk Marvin helmet that I draw on the back that I actually want to make into a 3-dimensional piece at some point.
That would be good.
So I dig all that stuff. That's kind of fun.
So what is let's see, somebody was asking what the size of the Roadrunner watercolor is. Do you remember? That was was that like a 14 by 20 or a 12 by something? 12 by 20. Okay, boy, did I hit that right. Somebody, yeah.
Good job. You remember? I don't remember.
One of my team said 12 by 22. Oh no, my eyes aren't that good. 12 by 22. So that's a great size. Well,
I love,
probably appropriate. Yeah, the detail in there, if I remember, was just incredible.
But you know what came out? I did a first run of that thing. And my Wily came out really awesome. My Roadrunner was totally not. It was on model, but it was off proportion, and it irritated the crap out of me because I had to. You can't. If you get it wrong, you're done, and you have to do it over. So I have it around here somewhere, and I had to start all over because it didn't work. And I'd already had Wily done. I had part of the background done, and I had to start all. I was probably like 50% of the way through, and I had to totally toss it. Yeah.
Well, sometimes that's what it's got to be, right?
I didn't throw it out. So. Yeah, but it was that was the kind of the. But what was great about that was when I came back the second time, I realized that the background did not come out exactly how I wanted it to in the rock work, and I actually love the way the rock work came out in this way better.
So I tell you what, as we're getting toward the end of the hour, I'm just I'm going to open this up. If you would like to ask a question or on audio, you've got a digital hand down there. Look in your area under, where is your digital hand? It's under. Scott Ryder, you can help me there. Where would they find their digital hand?
I believe it's at the top of the chat.
Okay, at the top of the chat, you can raise your hand, and if you want to, then we can spot. You can ask Ben.
Ask me whatever you want.
So, yeah. So we got a bunch of shy people. Maybe we'll just just scroll through. Oh, there's Acme has got one. Let's go ahead and Scott, why don't you showcase Acme iPad here? And hey, I know that guy.
What's
How
up,
you doing
Bruce?
there? Hello there, boys. How are you?
Hey, buddy.
Hello. I love your Roadrunner Coyote up there behind you. That reminds me of my mom. I tell you what.
And there's one over there of the dot and the line.
There it is. Oh, yes. They almost feel like family to me. I don't know why, but
The question I had for Ben is on the Roadrunner piece. How long did it take you to create that?
From starting sketch to finished piece, if I were to count how many hours, it was at least a good solid like 20, 30 hours.
wow.
Into the piece. And part of the reason was I wanted a certain look to it and a composition. So if you look at the composition of like where things sit, and it was like based off Maurice Noble's kind of design technique. Like I said, I got it wrong the first time, and then I got it right the second time on what I wanted. So going through it the second time and resketching the thing out, it didn't take like as long to sketch, maybe, a couple hours to get what I needed down, and then to start laying it on. And the reason why it took a little bit longer is because I would freak out at every stage. So I start back and work front, and I would freak out at every point where I was going front. I'm like, oh, I don't want to do. So it was probably a good 30 hours on that piece.
Wow. Thank you.
That's amazing. Thanks,
like I said,
Bruce.
it's a passion project. That one was they're all passion projects, but that one to me was, man, like what I loved about why I wanted to use watercolor is, especially you get into the Southwest and all those colors. And, I've been inspired by so many different watercolorists that get into the Southwest, and that richness that comes, like, there's just something to it that you can't get with, like, you can get cool stuff with oils, but there's a thing about watercolor and doing that Southwest feel that I had to do it. So
well, I'm flying to Albuquerque in June to go up to Santa Fe, so I want to make sure I don't make the left turn.
Oh, sweet.
Don't make that left turn. I tell you what, that is for sure. Oh my goodness. As somebody just reminded me that many of these things are on the Octria site. If you don't know that link, you can find it on the websites. I know that Robert's posted it out there, but it has a lot of these works of art out there on the site, and we're trying something new. It's a private site that you can go out and register, and for the next 24 hours, we are allowing people to go in and literally bid on some of these works of art. So it's during this odd time that we're all in, and we're all sequestered here and doing what we're doing, but to try something new and be a little creative. So get to know Ben in his studio, and then and I guess somebody just said that it's a case-sensitive thing as far as Ben Olson Studio at the Octria site. So there's a bit.ly link there, but there's also, we can get it sent to you. For the next 24 hours, you can go in and take a look at there and find some things that you may not be able to find 25 hours from now. Let's put it that way. So
yeah,
that is really cool what you're doing there.
If you want to, like, if anybody grabs something and finds something that they like, I don't care if it's a print or original or whatever, you tell me your favorite Looney Tunes character and whatnot, and I'll do, like, on 12F animation paper, I'll do a sketch in, like, like a Blackwing or something like that. Cool. That's dedicated to you. And if, like I said, print, original, whatever you want, you name the character, and I'll add that. That's so
cool. Well, what a great little option for the Ben Olson Studio inaugural tour, because we're going to have to come back and watch you work some other things. So does anybody else have a digital hand that they'd like to put up right now to ask another question before we sign off?
Kenneth should totally ask a question.
Kenneth, you've been called out. Kenneth, you've been called out. I don't know, man. We may just spotlight you if we can find you. There's Kenneth. Look at that.
Hey, buddy.
Nice. Is he unmuted yet?
I'd like to know when you're going to find time to venture out to Virginia City with me again.
I know. So I want to tell you something about this man right here. So there are a few people, I'm blessed to know a bunch of really cool and awesome people. And that man right there, Kenneth Carrozza, is not only one of the most, and I've worked with him in design, and I've gotten to paint alongside of him in Virginia City, where we were surrounded by wild horses, and I was the one who's like, I don't really think you should go into the pile. And I should have just let him go into the pile because it would have been awesome and nothing bad would have happened. And I consider him one of my dearest friends and someone creatively, like just creatively, who I aspire to be more like, because that guy inspires me on a regular, like that's a ridiculously awesome artist and creative. The way his brain works and then how he produces it in whatever medium. I have so much respect for that dude. All right, so Kenneth, I'm going to say like 2 more years and then we're good to go.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
So, hey, Ben, have I seen his work in your studio?
Oh, yes, you have.
Oh,
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
Kenneth.
So,
I now got a faith with Kenneth. That's awesome. I adore your artwork. I literally am blown away.
Well, thank
you.
you.
It was on the back wall, right behind where the Arcia stuff is. I remember that, dude. That you are a rock star. I can't believe the detail that you get into your work. That is just amazing. And I know you're being shy about it, but wow.
I kept sending 4 to 5 pieces out for every visual candy night that he had at the studio, and somehow 20 pieces ended up out there in his permanent collection.
He doesn't actually show it. He just wants to keep it. So
right. I'm like, yeah, sure. Visual candy night, whatever, my wall.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Hey, Max has a question. Let's unmute Max because it doesn't look like a digital hand, but does have a question.
Yes.
Hey, Max.
I was going to ask, so my favorite character, I always liked the Daffy Duck stuff. Like, honestly, I think that's always been my favorite. Like, I've liked a lot of the Bugs Bunny stuff, but I think Daffy Duck has always been, like, my favorite. And I've always wanted to be a voice actor, so I've always loved Marvin Martian's voices and, like, just all the voices. What would you say is your favorite character?
Oh,
Ben?
Okay.
Yeah. Where do you go from there? That's a good question.
My favorite Looney Tunes character is Marvin the Martian. I loved Duck Dodgers in the 20. Yeah, that jersey right there.
That's the one right there, huh?
So
yeah.
I designed the jerseys that we do for this and that one. The reason why, like, there was something about Marvin and his interaction with Daffy that, like, you get the disintegration proof vest and everything disintegrates but the vest, right? The humor that Chuck put into those to that film was probably one of my first, like, real, like, that Rabbit Fire and a whole, like, you know, Fast and Furious and stuff like that. So Marvin, which, can I show my red dot piece?
Yeah, go ahead. No one will know it's yours when it gets in there.
Look at Robert. Look at Robert. Can I just give a hint?
You can show. Why don't you show a quarter of it?
Okay, hold on.
Robert's mortified. You know what? That's why the people who are here get special insight to things that we're not supposed to, really share. But it's perfect.
So I told, and Scott will attest to this. I showed my class today for our Chuck Jones class, right? And I'm like, you can't say a word, and you can't tell Robert either. Scott, you don't know a thing because you're not supposed to know who the artist is. So that steampunk Marvin that I have, right, that was done for Red Dot. And thankfully, and it all benefits the center, which is phenomenal. And so far every year, like, my Marvins have been red dotted. So have you seen The Mandalorian?
Oh yeah.
Like,
I mean, come on.
All right.
I mean,
so
yeah.
One of my all-time favorite scenes, and I love that whole series, but when Baby Yoda eats the frog for the first time and you just see the frog legs going down, right? And so when I came up with this idea, I'm like, you know what? I need to blow it out this year. Like, I did Marvin, I did A Boy and His Dog last year, and that did really well, and that got a dot and stuff. But I'm like, no, man, I gotta up the game. And I love The Mandalorian. So I wanted Marvin as the Mandalorian in his normal thing, right? In the Mandalorian ship. And I wanted a little Baby Yoda in there, because who doesn't love Baby Yoda, right? And I did a Baby Yoda for my wife, because she's all about Baby Yoda and stuff like that. And I'm like, Baby Yoda. But I wanted Baby Yoda levitating Michigan J Frog, because he's going to eat the frog, right? And so there's a little salt and a little pepper, right? But that frog's going down. And I know it's like the whole Marvin roasted duck and pulled pork thing. All right. All right, Robert, you're not gonna freak out, right, Robert?
Yeah, you know what? It's time for the
okay.
People that came in.
So here is my red dot piece.
So, You got salt and pepper. It's like kind of like a little tribute to Roadrunner Coyote as well. So
Yes,
that's it.
it is. So he's levitating him right now. You can look at Michigan Jay's face. He knows what's going down. The dude's getting eaten, right?
Man,
And Marvin's just giving the look like, really? So
that is just too good.
This is oil on canvas. It's 12 by 12. And then if you look, like there's subtleties in like the machinery in the back.
Oh.
And then we got Planet Y because they just left Planet X, right? And then Planet Z is back here. So this is awesome. This is in his ship, and I took it off a picture of actual Mando's ship. But so this is my red dot piece for this year. All the proceeds, and which is like Saturday.
It's this Saturday, yeah. So it's
this Saturday.
And the bidding is open there on an Octria site as well. So, Robert, can you share that? Yeah, I think it's Red Dot 10 or something like that, or Red Dot 2020 or something. So it's coming up. I know it is. So that's.
So did I answer your question? Okay.
I think Max is hanging out there. Yeah.
All right. Good.
Yeah, I think we're breaking up.
First, yeah.
Did we lose him? I think.
I'm not sure. I think we're getting garbled a little bit. But...
Yeah, I'm not sure.
The chat.
That's okay. We can switch back to the non-audio. But actually, I'm being told that we need to be signing off soon. So it doesn't look like there's anybody right now. So I tell you what we'll do. We'll let you continue to paint, Ben. And I just wanted to thank you, and thank you everybody for coming in to visit us during this Ben Olson studio tour. And we will be doing more with other artists in the coming weeks. Don't forget that there is the Red Dot auction this Saturday evening. It's a virtual event for the first time. This is Red Dot 10. We've been started 10 years ago. It's hard to believe that was an inspiration 10 years ago. And there are nearly 100 works of art that are available, mostly anonymous, now one less so anonymous, but that's okay.
Yes.
But there's also some unbelievably found objects that are like we've got Nick Park, who is going to do a painting, the Wallace and Gromit creator. We've got Eric Goldberg, who's going to do a drawing of 3 Looney Tunes characters of your choice if you win that UFO auction, and some other special things that are coming that are available out there now to bid on. And we'll be together again on a Zoom call and other outlets by then on Saturday evening. It starts 6:30 p.m. Pacific and goes all the way to 8:03 p.m. Pacific. So do the adjustments for your local time, and hopefully you'll join us on that event. So thank you again, Ben. We're going to go ahead and sign off. Well, look at that.
Yeah, man.
Just scraping off.
We're going to peel off
cool.
my
off
last.
Yes.
Look at that.
I like the peeling. All right, everybody. Take care.
Well, thank you so much, guys. Have a great evening.
All righty.
Bye.